Welcome to Drop by Drop.
The jug fills, drop by drop. Welcome to Drop by Drop Podcast. My name is Kylie Renee. I'm your host. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you're a returning listener, please go to iTunes.com and search for Drop by Drop Podcast and give us a rating. Now, hopefully, if you're coming back for the second or third or hopefully eighth time, then you're going to give us a 5-star rating. That would be absolutely wonderful. But I'm all for honesty, so if you think we deserve less than that, give us a rating and tell us why. That would be really great. If you are a new listener, thank you for coming by to listen, and I really, truly hope that you enjoy this episode. And when we're through, I hope that you will also feel compelled to give us a great rating on iTunes. So today, we are going to be talking about music, the invisible art that inspires all of us. So we brought in some sound experts to talk about some of the trends in the music industry and some of the issues also that go along with the music industry. So today we're talking to Mary and Craig from Center Sound Records in Raleigh, North Carolina. Mary tells us about her struggles in the music industry. Being a female musician and entrepreneur, it's been kind of hard for her, and I'm sure many other female artists can relate, because it's kind of a man's world. But she and Craig also talk about the behind-the-scenes aspect of working with an artist in the studio and really drawing out their creative, genuine sound by getting to know the artist personally. We know that a lot of artists display their image so much more than the actual talent and quality of the music, and that's what Mary and Craig really try to bring out of an artist. It's mostly about getting the genuine feel of the music and then also preserving the genuine image of the artist. So we're going to hear about that and some of the new trends in the music industry and some of the projects that they're working on. If you would like to follow along with this episode, we're going to be posting on our website, dropbydropcast.com/DBD8, as in drop by drop, number 8. And that's going to be the show notes with any links and videos that we may talk about. And you can follow along there and also download a free download of this podcast. So stay tuned and check in on the website, and we're happy to welcome Craig and Mary onto Drop by Drop Podcast.
My name is Mary Brandwynne, and I'm living now in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm originally from Long Island. I started my career singing in various different types of bands, rock bands, club date bands, and that's when I was in college. I met Craig, who later became my husband.
Well, I'm Craig. I'm her husband. I actually produce for the label.
Mary and Craig founded Center Sound Records in 2007. Center Sound is an all-purpose audio-video production company.
We also do television shows, movies, soundtracks,
And different artists and set up all the creative side with a team that we put together for the films and for different projects.
And this is something that's we feel is unique to not being in North Carolina now, is because there is so much film work and television work.
We originally started out as thinking that we were just going to be a label and do CDs and put those out and help artists develop their artistic things. Basically, we went out into the film area and television because of the projects that were coming our way. So we kind of put the record thing on the side, which is Center Sound as the company, and the production's more like anything that you need to hear. So it became a fairly good asset that we were able to give a client who are not just music and not just an artist making a CD.
The music industry is not an easy business to be in. You gotta know the right people and be in the right place at the right time. And it really helps to know some people who can kind of help you out.
We came from New York, and New York is, like they say, it's a tough town. And I just feel in North Carolina, I just see a lot more support for local artists and support for young people starting out. There's a lot of clubs, there's a lot of places to play. And I think that helps give the artist, the audiences help give the artists a little confidence. There's a lot of open mic nights. There's a lot of just local people playing and exchanging ideas. And I find this area to be very, very supportive of the arts in general. I'm assuming it's because of the television work that's here, the movie work that's here. Again, a very, very supportive atmosphere.
We see a lot of musical artists out there putting out an image or a style that doesn't really seem to fit. Oftentimes, this is for the sake of marketing and sales. We usually see this in the form of over-sexualization of women, and sometimes even men.
It all comes down to the song. It comes down to the integrity of the song and the integrity of the artist. And whatever genre that happens to be, we try to look at it from a musical standpoint and from a professional standpoint of it. The music's got to be there. It's got to be in the pocket. It's got to sound great, and the artist has to sound great singing it and be comfortable with who that artist is. And then we look at the packaging after the fact. We really don't come in with the package first and say, oh, this will fit. It's all about the song, and it's about keeping that artist feeling that they're being themselves.
And that the finished product, they're proud of the finished product, and it speaks, and it says this is who I am, not something that was taken and repackaged to be something that they weren't, that they're not. Right, and I feel that there's much more pressure on women to do that than especially going from like a child star to trying to have their music be more adult. All of a sudden, that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be so sexualized, but that always seems to be the route that they go.
The music industry is always changing, but we see this reoccurring theme of sexualizing the music and the image of the artists. Now, this tends to hinder particularly female artists who really want to just sell their genuine music and the feeling that they put behind their song and the passion in the music.
Well, for me, just being a woman in the business, I can remember back when I wanted to sing in rock bands, and there'd be auditions, and it was male music, and I happen to have a lower alto voice, and I could do those songs, but no one would ever give me a chance because I was a girl, so you can't sing guy music. And it went from that just to the imaging, which when MTV was introduced, a lot of it became visual, aside from just the music. And I feel that women, even till this day, still they have to answer to a different standard. A lot of visual, a lot of sexual, and it still goes on today. So it's one thing with our company. It was one thing that we both kind of decided that wasn't something that we were going to expect of our artists. To just be who they are and not have to be shaking it out there.
A collaborative album that they worked on, featuring various female artists of many different ages, is somewhat of an ode to female empowerment.
Come home from work, tired as can be.
Kind of ties in what I was talking about before about female artists. Betty Swain was a country western singer, and she passed away a few years ago at 85. And all her songs, she had written lyrics, never had music put to the lyrics, but it was all about her life. She had a pretty hard life, a couple of marriages, and ups and downs. And this gentleman, Jim Paul, local musician here, wrote the music to these songs and somehow got in touch with Craig and Tim Dare, and they produced this record called the Betty Swain Project.
Something's gotta give, baby. Something's gotta give. You're right next to me.
What I really love about it is that it's various different female artists ranging in age from 18 to a mature woman. We don't say age. And they each took their take on these songs, and to hear the whole album in its entirety is really special. It's really about women and empowering women, and what I love, what touches my heart a little bit is Lynn Anderson, who really back in 1970 really had the first feminist crossover song of I beg your pardon, I never promised you a rose garden. I mean, that's her signature tune, and she did 2 tracks on this record, and all the way down to a young lady by the name of Marissa Began, who Craig and I have worked with since she was about 12 years old, did a cut on the album too. And then, like I said, all ages, all different songs, and I just feel that this project shows really the power of women, in the industry, and just in songwriting, and just in women in general. So it's really one of my favorite.
And we recorded it in Nashville. A little different kind of approach with top studio musicians. And we came in, played the pre-production work tapes that we spent a lot of time on. Went into the studio with an idea of who we wanted to, we would kind of capture the essence of the vibe of the whole record. Normally in a record, the common thread is the vocalist. They'll sing they'll sing every song, so that sounds, that voice is on that. So all the other stuff that's being done can change, but that element stays the same, so it becomes that record. And here it was a little bit different. Since every voice was different, we had to find a commonality in the music side. So when we made sure that we used the same guys on every track. So we actually did it in 2 different sessions. We did 6 songs in 6 hours, and then came back and did another 6 songs in 6 hours. And then we did the overdubs. It was just a great experience working with these guys in Nashville. It's not the first time I've been there. I've been there many times with different artists and different productions. But this particular one, producing Lynn Anderson was a thrill. And she sold 30 million records. She won a Grammy for it. I mean, she's queen of country, and to have her on this project is absolutely fantastic. Yeah. And we have Siobhan Magnus from American Idol, and Kim Parent, a whole bunch of other people.
The music industry has changed so much over the years. Some positive and some not so positive.
I think it's a catch-22 of what's happened to the music industry. Years ago, you had your labels. If you were a band trying to get a record deal, you made your demo, and you tried to get your demo to the different record companies, and hopefully have an A&R person come to where you're playing. Nowadays, what's positive about it is that you can create your own music and get it out on YouTube, iTunes, yourself, so a lot more people can hear your music without having to go the whole process of getting a record deal and getting it out. The downside of that is, I think that there's so much out there now, and people just don't have the patience to be listening, because it's so quick, so quick, so quick. And if you don't have something, within 6 to 10 seconds, if something doesn't catch, their ear, they're on to the next thing, which then again also can sometimes, I think, add to the fact of sometimes this image, because what am I going to do differently that's going to catch somebody's attention for the second, So there's pros and cons, to it. At least you're not beholden to these big record companies anymore. But yet there's a lot out there, so it's going to be even harder to get your sound heard.
Craig and Mary are usually pretty selective about the artists they choose to work with at Center Sound Records. One, because they have a lot of different types of projects they work on, such as film and television. But also, they like to make sure that they get a really good connection with each artist that they work with, on a personal level.
Choosing the right musicians to work with them. We don't really do bands, so kind of give you an understanding. The band has a unique sound. They have their own songs they write for themselves, and they kind of have that thing going. So when a producer comes in with a band, it's sort of just leading them down that path. When you're dealing with a solo artist, primarily a singer-songwriter comes in with a guitar and a vocal, they look to you as a producer to say, help me build my sound, help me with my sound. And the main thing is that listening and to what they're saying, the lyrics and the music, and complementing the music with a certain amount of instruments, and the type of instruments that we use and the players that we use have a lot to do with the outcome of that sound. Keeping it, like we said before, the integrity of the music itself. When the artist, people come to me and say, well, what do you, when they ask you to produce a record, what do you do? I said, the first thing I do is I don't even go into the studio with them. I sit and have a cup of coffee with them and get to know them. And then we start to get sort of what we like about different types of music and different artists. Then we do pre-production for quite a few weeks before we even get into a band situation where we hire the musicians to play. So I know that person really well. I know that music really well. I've played the music. Whether I'm playing on the record or not, I know those songs. And I can now dictate to the band saying, hey, this is the kind of feel and style we're going for. And it keeps it flow.
To draw out the pure creativity of an artist, it's really important to create a supportive environment.
Well, it's a trust factor. You have to build the trust.
And I think when they start working with us after a while, they realize that we really encourage feedback. It's not, okay, you go in the studio, this is what you sing, this is how you sing it. It's a lot of constant give and take, constant, well, what do you think? Do you want to try this way? Do you want to add a harmony line here? What's your input? What's your input? So that the artist becomes comfortable, and also that the artist is comfortable enough to turn around and say, yeah, that didn't work, I don't like that, let's try it again, So again, it's building trust, and hopefully the artist knows that, at the end of the day that they're going to be proud of the product, and they're going to feel that it speaks to them, that they're not going to hand something over and say that, this is me, but it's not me.
It's a collaborative effort. It's okay for them to tell me, no, I don't like that guitar sound, or I don't like that part, or let's change that. There's no hard feelings. There's no hurt feelings in this. At the same time, I can turn around to her and say, or him say, that line that you just sang, you're not selling it. I'm not buying it. You need to put more into this. Let's try it this way. Do this. And there's little tricks that we do in the studio to get that emotion out in the lyric and in the delivery. So by the time that gets to that point, there's a mutual trust factor in there that they're comfortable listening, and we're comfortable with each other. So we make the record together, and then when they hand it to somebody, they feel that they've been a really good integral part of that process.
So you guys try to create a collaborative bond with these musicians, but in addition, you try to create somewhat of a mentorship, right?
This one girl we were working with, that she had tried a couple of different times to have her music produced, and stuff was just coming out, and it was not her, and she was not happy with it. And also, just the appearance. She's the type of girl that just an acoustic guitar and jeans
and a t-shirt.
People are talking about, she's not, Beyonce, look like Beyonce, and and it's,
you can't have a music that's not the picture.
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
Right.
It has to fit the mold. If you are who you are, putting on a different outfit is not going to make the music different.
Right. And also sometimes just talking to people. Sometimes people just don't know who they are. But again, like we said, we'll sit and we'll talk. What do you envision? What do you see yourself as? What kind of music do you see who do you think
audience.
you're right? The audience, right? What do you want your sound to be, your image to be? So
some people are selling their image more than their music.
There's a difference between the music industry, the music business, and pop culture.
Yeah. And
there's, when you buy a record for different reasons, you're buying into the pop culture, which is that moment for the day, which is fine, or you're buying the music, for longer longevity, I guess. I think there's a lot of influence from the major labels as well at that. It's just they're worried about, how many units they're going to sell, as opposed to sometimes they care about their artists. I don't know. It's been coming narrower and narrower as the years go by. I think there were 4 major labels left. And they've kind of swallowed up every small, larger independent labels or smaller major labels. And I think they've really been dictating a lot, to the few artists that they actually do sign and put a lot behind. They sign a lot of artists, but you don't really hear about them because they just don't put the promotion money behind them.
Center Sun Records doesn't often sign artists, but when they do, it's because they really believe in that artist and that they have some true talent.
An artist, Ryan Hamlin, is really, really good. Kind of a cross between Americana and, I guess, pop. But we have a record out from him that we did an EP, released that, and actually some of his songs ended up in some of the movies that I worked on.
How long are you gonna wait for him to come? And how long will it take for you to see the sun? And I'll be crying out my lonely loves
in Brazil. Actually sold a lot of CDs. People in Brazil bought CDs, so I guess you can put them down in Brazil. People will buy them. So we did fairly well with that. A faith-based film, Destiny Road, from Uptone Pictures, and we got a few of those on the horizon. We're releasing another one on Father's Day called A Long Way Off. But Ryan's been part of Center Sound for a while. He was actually a student here at LAC. And he's played one song for me in class, and I'm like, I really like that song. I took it home, played it from there, and she goes, let's do more. So we ended up signing him. We put out an EP, and we actually even entered him into the Grammy ballot for nomination with the Betty Swain Project and Sing with Max CD.
And another two projects that I'm really proud of is one is and it's also locally grown, I guess you could say, is the Rusty Bucket Kids program. It's in development right now. They did have a pilot out, and they're now working on doing more shows. But it's geared towards children, but what's great about it, it's teaching history, which I don't think children are exposed to as much as they used to be in the curriculum. And it goes back in time, and it teaches history, which is great. And another project that I really like, which is geared more towards preschool-age children, which I used to teach preschool, so on and off for about 30 years. So this is a project called Read with Max. And we're right now in the process of we have the CD out on it. It's all different songs, and they deal with various issues that children have, but it's through the eyes of a dog, and things like moving, how scary that could be, but dogs have to move too with the family, and bullying. Dogs could get bullied also too in the dog park, and. Did dogs learn to read? So it's really all different issues that young children have to deal with, and it's seen through the eyes of dog. And there's a band, and it's really going to be a cute project when it's finally launched. And we're happy to be part of the music end of it and the production end of it too. So that's something we're looking forward to.
You remember what it felt like to pitch your tent in a field.
So we just finished, the last project that I just finished was the film A Long Way Off. We're actually doing an M&E track for that in the next couple of weeks. But really, I was introduced by the executive producers to a woman named Krista Wells, who's a fantastic songwriter. She's a 2006 GMA Songwriter of the Year. She's had many hit records out there. Natalie Grant had recorded one of her songs that did really, really well, a song called Held. She just came out with her own album called Feed Your Soul, which is an incredible record. She recorded that in Nashville, and you can get her on KristaWellsMusic.com. But I had the opportunity of co-writing the title track to A Long Way Off with her. And we produced it here in Raleigh, and we did a music video here in Raleigh for it, which is available on Vimeo, and you can go to Center Sound and look at it from there. You can link to it. But it just came out so nice. We're so happy with the song. Nick Bagwell was the engineer, played a little piano on it. It was just a really, really well done production. Really happy with it.
You were there waiting. I took the long way home, but you saw me coming from a long way off. You never stopped loving me.
We're grateful to have had you guys on our podcast today. So we can go to your website to find out about these projects.
Yes, we're all over. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Okay, so if you wanted to get in touch with Center Sound Records or Center Sound, you can. The website is centersoundrecords.com, all one word. Brian Pearl is one of the managers of that, and he would be able to you can contact him through the email on the site, and you can get back to us. Facebook, we have a Center Sound Facebook that we're trying to build likes on, and it's all about our different projects. And on the website, we'll lead you to different links of videos that we have out. The Twitter, we have Center Sound, CS Records, at CS Records Twitter. And then, of course, all of our other avenues and artists and projects we're working with, we have links on our website to those other websites, so the Betty Swain Project, the Read with Max, the Rusty Bucket Kids.
I really appreciate what Mary and Craig do with music for artists that they record. How they really bring out the integrity of the song. I can really tell the difference when I'm listening to music that is genuine and from the heart compared to music that is just kind of scratches the surface and, somewhat shallow, I guess you could say. Not pointing any fingers at any particular music. Just saying, some music feels really passionate and some not so passionate. And I like that, really deep feeling music. And that's what they try to create by getting down to a really personal and connected level with these artists and really producing something real. So we're really happy to have had the opportunity to record them today on our podcast, and I'm really happy that you guys came and listened to the podcast. Please feel free to download it, tell your friends about it, share it on Facebook. You can connect with us on Facebook. You can connect with us on Twitter at DropByDropCast. You can connect with me on Twitter at @TheKylieRenee. And I really thank you guys for rating the podcast if you have. And I encourage you to go by and rate it if you have not. So thank you so much for your time and your ears. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. This has been Drop by Drop Podcast. I'm your host, Kylie Renee, and I'll speak to you next time.
The Drop by Drop Podcast is co-produced by Kylie Renee and Brian West. Audio is by Brian West and directed and